Hello, my name is Bearhead. We're introducing a new cooking program for public television. It's called Cooking with the Colonel, meaning Colonel Doug Allard, who is a gourmet chef unknown to me for quite a few years, but he's quite good at his art, and he will be showing you how to cook deer, elk, commodities, whatever you have. He's quite good at it, and we hope you'll enjoy the program.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to an edition of Cooking with the Colonel. We're in our wild meat series, and today we're going to do for you kind of an interesting thing. We're going to make elk stir fry. It's a Chinese dish with vegetables, onions, soy sauce, a lot of different things. It takes about 45 minutes or an hour to get all the material ready and about 15 minutes to cook it. So we've pre-prepared most everything, but the one thing I want to show you is that the elk steak, we have a nice tender young elk steak. I hate to say it, but neither Bearhead or I killed this elk because we haven't gotten elk in the last 2 years. Actually, one of my daughter's father killed this. That sounds funny, but it's true. And gave it to my daughter, and so she gave me a little to try on this show. But this is a young cow, and when you slice the elk for stir fry or any Chinese food, you slice it on the diagonal. It comes out a little more tender. I slice it about 1/4 of an inch thick, and then we'll put it in a bowl and marinate it for a little while we get our vegetables ready. But you can use elk or deer or use beef or pork, or chicken as far as that goes. This recipe, the seasonings and the vegetables are designed for any red meat, but I've actually never done this with elk before. I've done it with deer, but I've actually never done it with elk because my hunting partner, Bearhead, who's my driver and my gutter, has not got me close enough to elk in the last 2 years to get one. But maybe this year we'll have better luck, and maybe next year.
Got him right into the elk, got him right into him, and he missed. He flubbed up, went running up the road.
Okay, we're gonna put this elk in here, then we're gonna put some soy sauce on there. We're going to marinate this for a little while. Put some soy sauce on there. It doesn't make any difference if you like soy sauce, put quite a bit. Then I'm going to add a couple of spoonfuls of this Chinese chili paste with sesame oil, but you can actually use any kind of hot sauce, including Tabasco or anything else. This just gives it a little hot flavor. Bearhead and I like hot food, so that's what we're doing. I'm going to put about half my green onions in here. Save the other half to put with the vegetables. I'm going to put all of my onions in here. That's one whole onion. And I'm going to mix that up good. You don't have to marinate this very long. If you marinate it like for an hour, the meat gets actually so tender from that soy sauce, garlic, which I forgot to put in.
Don't forget the garlic, Doug.
And onion that...
Do you ever cook without garlic?
Never. Put garlic in the breakfast food.
I wouldn't doubt
Got to
it.
get a little smaller spoon there to be able to get into there. That one won't do it either. A little knife. I think garlic adds a good flavor to everything, as long as you don't overpower it. If you overpower things with garlic, then you'll find people who don't like it.
You'll
But
find
we're going to
people
mix
who won't
this.
stand within 20 feet of you.
we're going to mix this up. I need a little more soy sauce there. This soy sauce also adds a little liquid to your sauce, because what this dish is a stir fry that we're going to serve over white rice in the end here. And so you can't really put too much soy sauce in. I guess you could drown it and put a quart in there. It wouldn't be too good, but you got to get enough in there so that the soy sauce covers, or coats at least, the onions, green onions, garlic, all mixed up together. Now we'll set that aside for a minute, and we're through with these right now. And I'll show you the vegetables we're using. We're going to use some mushrooms, some zucchini. Mushrooms are cut in quarters. The zucchini are sliced. Going to use some red peppers, and the red peppers you julienne, cut them real thin, about this long, and then whack them in two, so that they're kind of long and skinny like you see in Chinese food when you go to a Chinese restaurant. We're going to put some celery, and we're going to put the rest of our green onions, tops included. The green onion tops actually add a lot of Chinese spirit and flavor. We're going to mix these all up. Then after we finish cooking our meat, we're going to steam these in the wok. Now we're going to turn our wok on high. You don't need to actually use a wok to do this dish. You can use a stir-fry pan, or you could use a regular frying pan. You just have to be a little more careful, because a wok is designed to cook things at real high temperature. So here on my electric range, I put the wok on high. Then you put some oil in it. I'd say probably 2-3 tablespoons of oil. And you wait till that gets hot. And all of the heat in the wok is centered in the bottom, so you have to keep stirring it. And the sides are hot, but they're a little bit cooler. And I'll show you later on when we do the vegetables how you scrape them up on the sides of the wok to steam them. And that's something you can't do in a frying pan. So when you do steam your vegetables in a frying pan, you have to stir them a little more. You can't cover them and let them sit like we're going to here. So as soon as this gets hot, which it isn't yet, we'll put our meat in. In the wok, you use two tools. They're kind of like spatulas. Actually, the Chinese people use one spoon and one spatula. And I use two spatulas, but they use one spoon because they keep it in their hand and they use it for soup and dipping. Where I measure all my little things, they just reach in a bin of stuff with that little scoop and little spoon-like thing and dip it out and toss it into there. If you ever want to watch a Chinese cook, doesn't use hardly his fingers for anything. He just goes like this and like this. They have everything sitting there in bins in a Chinese restaurant that a pre-cook has prepared. We're not quite that fancy here. So that's pretty hot right now, so we'll throw it in. Put the meat in the wok. You can hear that sizzling when we put it in. You let it sit for a little while there, and let it sit for a while until everything gets hot, and then we start to stir fry it here in a minute. You can let it sit there for maybe a minute or 2 minutes, and that way everything on the bottom of that gets cooked. It's pushed your oil up around the edges, and you're ready to commence stir frying. We actually have This is about a double recipe to the one you're seeing on the screen. The one you're seeing on the one that we'll have on the television monitor is enough for about 3 people, I guess, maybe 4. But we have Bearhead here who eats about twice as much as everybody if he likes it. And if he doesn't like it, he still eats twice as much as everybody. And then we have our erstwhile television crew, who, if we don't give them good food, they'll put somebody else in the show. So this is the stir-fry method is very simple. In the wok, you just keep stirring here until the meat is done. The vegetables, the onions that are in there and everything actually take care of themselves. You just have to stir here. This is going to take a little longer than normal because this is a little larger batch of meat than we normally use. As I said, we're going to feed more people and it's a little larger batch. If for a small batch, you can stir fry it and we'd just be done about now for half that much. But a wok has one fault, and that's that you're cooking on a surface about that size. So when you cook big amounts in it, which Chinese cooks rarely do, they cook 1 meal at a time generally in the wok. When you cook large amounts, it takes a little more time and the wok is not as efficient. But you'll see it's sizzling over here and our meat's beginning to turn a little brown. You don't want to get it overdone. One thing that you don't want to do in Chinese food or most any other kind of food is to cook it too tough. Wild meat or too done. Wild meat, if you cook it too done, will always end up tough. You can take a nice piece of steak and overcook it and it will end up tough, no matter how you marinate it or how tender it was or whether you tenderize it with a pounder or what. If you cook it too much, it's going to end up tough. And so we're going to cook this to about medium, which it just about is right now. Coming pretty close. Taste a piece of that. Just right. Now we're going to transfer that to a bowl, the same one we had the meat in before. We're going to transfer that to a bowl and set it aside. Put our wok back on. Put a little water in there. We're going to add our vegetables to that water. And we're going to do something here that you can't do in a frying pan. This wok is a handmade wok from China. It's hand-hammered steel, and the insides are not real smooth. They're rough hammered steel so that you can scrape the vegetables here up on the side, put the top on, this top is actually for a smaller wok, but it's the only one I've got. Put the top on and we'll let those steam for, probably 5-10 minutes, something like that. That will tenderize the vegetables but leave all the juice in there. And that's the way Chinese food is. The vegetables are supposed to end up kind of crisp but not raw. If they're soft and slimy, they don't taste real good in Chinese food. Then you get the taste then of canned chow mein or some of those packaged things that I haven't eaten in many, many years. But if you cook it right and watch your vegetables, you'll get them just about right. And if you want to, I always do another little thing here too that I didn't put in the recipe. But I put a little sugar.
Oh.
If you put a little sugar in the water, it brings out all the flavor in your vegetables, and it doesn't bother your your flavor at all. It doesn't take away from the flavor. Adds a little bit to the flavor. And Chinese people do that too. So we'll let that steam for a little bit, and then we'll mix it together with the meat. Put a little cornstarch in there. Throw it at Bearhead on top of a little rice and see what he thinks of it. So we'll let that steam for a little while. The ring you normally use for a gas flame.
What's a ring?
A ring is a wok sits on a ring like this. And you can put it on here, but I don't use it. I don't use it. You can use it on here, but normally it's for a gas flame because the gas flame's coming right at the middle, and the ring sets it up just a hair above the gas frame. But I don't use a ring. You do have the thing slide from side to side, but it happens to work good on my stove just like this, so I don't use a ring. Nor did I ever see a Chinese cook use a ring. We're going to check our vegetables now to see how they're doing. They look to me like they're just about done. Scrape them up on the side there. They're done, maybe a hair more done than I like. We're going to put the meat mixture in with the vegetables. Going to stir that up. Looking good already. We're going to stir that up, then we're going to scrape a little pocket in the middle. We're going to take our mixture of cornstarch and water here. We're going to pour that in slowly right into the middle where it will mix up and boil. And that's going to make a little thickening in our sauce. Keep stirring that around till it all gets mixed in there. Well, it's not quite thick enough for me yet, so I'm going to take a little more cornstarch, throw it in here. It's not a good idea to put the cornstarch in and try to mix it in directly because it doesn't mix too good. You'll end up with getting lumpy. You're better off to mix it up like I am here with a little cold water and then pour it in. That's just about the way it should be. So we'll turn our wok off, set it off the flame so the bottom doesn't burn. We'll get the Royal Master Bearhead's plate.
You betcha.
Give him a little white rice. The rice, ladies and gentlemen, I make in a rice cooker. Years ago, I've been cooking Chinese food for a long time, but years ago I invited a young lady named Lisa McDonald to have dinner with me and some other people, and I thought I was making my rice pretty good. Just boil it in water, sometimes it'd be runny, sometimes it'd be dry. After the dinner, you know, she said the dinner was great, but your rice sucks. So I went down and bought a rice cooker, and I've never had any problems since. And then we'll spoon a little bit of this over the top of the rice. We'll give it to the erstwhile Bearhead here.
The erstwhile.
And I gave him some chopsticks.
No, if I can pull this one off.
You know what, ladies and gentlemen? I'm willing to bet $100 that he can't eat 3 bites with the chopsticks.
One.
Kind of a hanging bite there.
2. little
Here, I'll
mushroom.
give you a fork. So
Just a little mushroom here.
but you got to get down so you get a little rice mixed with it because that's the way it tastes good.
Well,
Now
you're
you're doing pretty good.
I'm the food taster here. Don't tell me how to taste food.
You're doing pretty good. You might actually get some rice on this bite. There you go. You got rice on that one.
Come on, I'll look over your shoulder.
Well, how is it?
I have a hell of an urge to do a load of laundry. It must be pretty good. It's really good, Doug.
Good.
But you know, your food critic should have been your grandson, Sean.
The one who won't come to my house because all he has is Chinese food.
He says all he eats is stir fries. I'm tired of stir fry.
I went through a...
Well, I'm going to have to give you a 10.
Well, just a minute now. I'm going to give you some tea. Well, you already gave me a 10, but I'm going to give you the tea anyway.
Well, I know that.
This is Chinese oolong tea. Whoop. I don't know how to...
Tiny. I never saw a Chinese make a tea with a tea bag either.
Well...
You trying to get lower than a 10 here, buddy.
We don't have a teapot. What are you going to do?
Uh,
Well, Bearhead gave me a 10 on my stir fry.
and I'm giving Jera a 10 plus on her presentation, on her Chinese plates, the red plates, and everything works out. Again, these antique salt and pepper fit any place.
Right.
Can't go wrong there. You're getting better, Douglas. Might put you on the road.
Very good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our segment of Cooking with the Colonel today and chewing the fat with Bearhead, or there's no fat in this dish, so he's just chewing the food. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.